Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And if you haven't built Groggo yet, please do so soon. And this is why. His third skill is a passive, and basically what this passive does is that you need 5 turns to kill him. 5 turns, and that is a lot. And for his skill 2, he buffs defense and immunity, and this goes down to 3 turns cooldown time, and which means
Are you sure about that?
Permanently have defense and immunity buff on him. So that's really good for Groggo. And his skill 1 provokes and stun the enemy, and this is good to control the enemy's team. So this is an overview of his skills. Now, how do we then rune him? Mine is on Vampire Will, and I would recommend to build him as an offensive tank. And there are 3 ways to rune him. First one would be how I'm runing him right now, Vampire Will, and this is to allow him to have more sustain, so that he can sustain himself. And basically, if you are runing him Vampire Will, so this is the tip. It is best to keep his HP as low as possible, so that when he attacks, he can heal back a higher percentage of his HP with his own attack, right? So my Groggo, I think I do have some HP sub, so if you can remove any of the HP sub, that will be really great. That actually helps him a lot, especially with his passive. Okay, the second build you can work on will be Violent Will. I think a lot of people run that, and this is allow you to have more turns so that you can provoke and stun the enemy. And thirdly, it's not a very common build, but I used to run him like that, which is on Double Revenge Will. So the intent is pretty similar to Violent Will, really to control the enemy. But in this sense, when the enemy attacks you, there's a good chance that you will revenge and probably stun or provoke the enemy. So that will help to direct all the attacks to Groggo, to keep your team alive. So you have heard me, 3 rune sets, and all of them I mentioned will runes. So you must rune Groggo with will runes so that it does not get CC'd on the first turn, and then it can buff immunity using the second skill during his turn. And from there on, you just have perma, defense buff, and will buff, unless the enemy strip you, of course. Okay, so this is how I rune my Groggo: speed, crit damage, and defense. And this is what I will recommend you guys to build as well, as I mentioned, to build him an offensive tank. Do note that his skill 1 actually scales with defense, but then again, its multiplier also includes attack, so it's good to have some attack subs in your rune sets as well. So I do have here attack plus 23%. Okay, so it's not just a pure defense killing damage or skill, it does take into account your attack as well. Alright, and you also need to have a decent accuracy. Mine is pretty low. You need the accuracy so that you can provoke and stun the enemy. Do note that the harmful effect rate does not go up to 100%. So even if with a very high accuracy, it does not mean that you will definitely land a debuff on the enemy. So just take note of that. Okay, are there alternative build? Yes, if let's say you can't afford speed, crit damage, defense, you could go with speed, crit rate, defense, just for some damage, although crit damage is of course preferred. If not, you can go with just speed, defense, and defense, right? So change out the crit damage and put it on defense, for him to be just a pure tank, and in that case he wouldn't really do much damage. Alright, so if you like what I've shared so far, please subscribe to my channel for more of such content, and I will really appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is where can we use Groggo. He is really good for Guild War and Siege. by using elemental advantage, you can actually direct damage from hard hitting monsters, for example Sierra's bomb or Perna, to him, and you can use the other two monsters to kill the enemy's team. Usually to do that, it will be Groggo paired with two other monsters which are of the same element. For example, if you want to counter, let's say, a Sierra, right, you will bring two fire units together with Groggo so that Sierra will always attack Groggo. Okay, so here are some examples to give you an idea. Just watch for a while and we'll come back to talk more about him later on.
You've been on a mission to take my pride away from me. You don't ever listen, and you live with your complacency. You don't scare me, but you should fear me. The sun is setting, don't trust your hearing. You made a monster, I'm your imposter. Go ahead and wander, but don't trust the water. I'm the nightmare of the deep. Take my pride away from me. You don't ever listen, and you live with your complacency. You don't scare me, but you should fear me. The sun is setting, don't trust your hearing. You made a monster, I'm your imposter. Go ahead and wander, but don't trust the water. Of the deep.
Sip H, that super bass got boom, boom. Got me dead live, I'm Kurt Cobain, boom, boom.
Alright, you have seen how I've used Groggo to counter some of the enemy's team, and when it comes to using Groggo, it's really a lot about strategizing and also about using elemental advantage to direct all the hard hitting hits onto Groggo so that your other two monsters can clear the enemy's team. Okay, and in those videos you could actually see that I use Wusa as well as Kamun together with Groggo, and this is really to maximize the use of the shield on Groggo. And I will probably do a video on how you can maximize shield capability or shield skills efficiently using monsters like Groggo. And yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.